Hello, everybody. Are you ready for part two? Part two of the art used in James Bond movies. So, we're going to get right into it because there are a lot of pictures. And in part two, we're going to be lucky to get through just the Roger Moore era. So, here we go. We left off at on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So we're going to take a look at on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And we start off in the office of M and not seeing any ships on the mantle. It looks like the ship is gone from the mantle. Um, there is still kind of a little bit of a ship, I think, maybe in the background, some water. Um, but it's missing off the mantle. But then when we look at Moneypenny in the office again, flowers. So Moneypenny still is the flower of the office, and she has flowers on the wall. But we're going to see something interesting, and we'll see it in this movie, and then it's going to present itself later on. You'll see what I'm talking about. So we'll leave Moneypenny, and we find James Bond in the hotel that he's staying at. And of course, using art, have the gold frames and the Victorian style of art here in the hotel. It's adding to the wealth look of it. This is kind of a higher class look that we want to go for in this hotel. And then it's evident in this picture too. It's out in the hallway before he goes into a room. Again, the big golden wood ornate frames of this art. Of course, it always lends to a very rich look to the environment. But when we get to Draco's office, and I was a little surprised with the art style of Draco's office. Um, there's some drapery art, so almost so it's just very interesting looking art. I think it kind of goes along more with his heritage and his background, and that, and then the little tiny pictures, the small pictures on the wall as well. I believe it kind of looks very, um, I don't know, maybe like old Italian kind of look to it. So maybe that style. So it's a possibility. So I like, but the art in his office was pretty cool in the background. But then when we get back to M's office, so the ship was missing over the mantle. However, it is back in the office. Of course, when Bond comes into his office, there's a ship on each side. So definitely M still enjoys his ships. Now, this is interesting. Remember this. Remember this for later. There's a picture of the Queen, and this is Bond's office. When I was thinking of this project, I thought, oh, this will be interesting to see what art might be in Bond's office. So here's the Queen. But then when we look behind him, he's at his desk now and he's going through some of his past adventures. And this was like filler art. I was really surprised that this is what's in Bond's office. Um, it's just, I don't know. It looks kind of just like some cheap hotel art, and we're going to see some of that in some of the other scenes too. So not the kind of art I was expecting. Very cheap looking, very generic. Nothing special about it. But then, of course, Bond here, you'll see he even there's definitely a reason. There's a picture, a painting of the Queen on the wall there. And then in this scene right here, Bond is going to M's house. So now we're going to see how M has his house decorated. Of course, there's the rich, you know, um, look of the Victorian kind of looking paintings in his study here. But out in the hallway, look out there in the hallway. I can't make out what it is, but a completely different style of art that he's got out in the hallway. So that was interesting. But on the far right, it looks like there's maybe another ship over there on the far right. But then when Bond comes into the office and approaches the other end where M is, where M's working, I mean, look at this. It's obvious that M is into more than just ships. Here's a passion that he has. So, and he was working on another box of these butterflies that he was putting together on the desk. So pretty cool. Some really neat insight as to the things that M enjoys. I'm often just looking at the artwork in the background. So then Bond, for the mission, he's got to go and meet, um, and learn about the coat of arms, and so he's over here in an official building where they trace people's genealogy, and of course, I mean, this is very well done. Out in the foyer here, before he goes into the main office, um, look at all these pictures of just individuals, probably individuals that were pillars of this organization at one time. And I thought that this piece of art here, when he's in the office, um, it's interesting to see in the back there. It looks like some pictures of family, perhaps this man's family in the background there, but his genealogy, and it kind of looks. It's hard to make out, but it looks like in the behind him there, it looks like maybe some names are written down, and then it's scribbled down in between the pictures, maybe some dates, um, family names, family history. So something that he definitely would have captured and hung in his office, probably his own genealogy. And then we get to Blofeld's lair up on the mountain. And remember in part one how I was saying you get to the lair, and usually it's modern art. There's some really weird modern art in the lair. This is 100% proven true in the lair of Blofeld here. But also, okay, so remember you had to take note of the picture of the Queen in Bond's office. There's pictures in this lair you've got to take note of as well. So in this scene here, of course, we can see there's some kind of just weird looking modern art in there. It's nothing that special, but it's different than, like the Victorian art in most of the scenes. And then Bond, he's checking out this piece. Of course, this is really a piece of modern art hanging up on the wall. He's checking it for bugs, but definitely a very interesting piece of art. And in the background, I thought that was maybe like flowers or something. And I thought, well, that's just kind of plain, normal. It's not flowers. Because if you take a look at this next picture, as we get to pan around to it, that's not flowers. I don't know what it is. It is some weird, I mean, if I were to guess, it was like a squished frog or something. I mean, it's really a weird piece of art. It was hard to tell what it was. Okay, now remember this. Remember this picture right here. See that red circle? I had thought that we had reused art from some of the previous Bond movies, and I looked and I was like, nope, nope, never mind. It's not the same picture. We are going to have reused art appear, and multiple times, in different movies. So remember that red circle. Okay, Let's go to the next picture. So this is Bond talking to Blofeld. Again, I thought there was some surprising art in the background because they look like they're supposed to be maybe more, some elaborate pieces in the back. Even has the lights. See those lights pointed at the wall to illuminate the art. But I'm looking at it going, but that's some really cheap frames over there. Why have like expensive art that you're even going to have extremely well lit? And you got them in those cheap frames. I don't know. And the pictures don't even seem that special. So I was surprised with the art used in this scene. I was expecting something a lot more grand, especially, I mean, this is Blofeld's lair um, here and his main office. So a little surprised there. Remember this piece of art as well, the circle. And then, of course, in the background, there you can see the weird looking little faces and stuff. Definitely some weird modern art. Again, proven true. The layers have weird modern art. Okay, let's move on to another movie. The next movie, because the art pretty much that, you know, uh, stopped at that point in the movie. Now we go to Diamonds Are Forever. And here, of course, M is briefing Bond on the different diamonds, and they're in. They're getting. They're going to be getting debriefed on what's going on, and this building that they're at is kind of an official capacity. You've got the Victorian art in the back there, so just kind of adding weight to the grandeur of the building and where they're at. But then when Bond meets Tiffany Case, he goes up to her apartment. This cannot be her apartment. It cannot be her apartment. She's just got to be staying here for a while or something. Because if you look at that art in the background, that does not fit her style at all. When what we learned about her later in the movie, so this is definitely just a place that she's just staying at while there, on you know, handing off the diamonds to Bond. And then this picture, of course, I mean, it's kind of iconic for Diamonds Are Forever. Just a great big painting of Willard White. Um, so of course, his painting is everywhere on his stuff. But then Bert Saxby, when you're in his office, this was kind of interesting. So this is kind of the lair, so you got a little bit of modern art there, but they're in a casino. They're in a casino, so it does make sense. Look, there'd be pictures of some stars that have probably performed at the casino up on the wall, and you've even got a Nevada shaped like clock or plaque of some sort up on the wall. I thought this was very well done. This looks like something you would see in a casino office, probably back then, uh, back in Las Vegas. And then I also looked at the ceiling in this picture, and it reminded me of the ceiling of Blofeld's lair of on Her Majesty's Secret Service, where they had like the metal ceilings in the rooms, and then the lights would come on and hypnotize the women there. So this was a metal ceiling. It really reminded me of that. And in this picture right here, yeah, I took another picture, snipped another picture. Oh, that's right, because there was this other piece of modern art um, over there, and I was like, yep, see, modern art in the lair, but you get a really good look at that metal weird roof. And then when Bond goes in to Blofeld, when he goes up into the building, and then Blofeld, he says, "Hey, why don't you come on in?" And then Bond walks in there, not knowing it's Blofeld yet. This is Willard White's office with Blofeld's touch to it, and you can see Blofeld's touch because you will notice later on, Willard White he doesn't use much art at all. He's a real minimalist. He likes concrete and steel and glass. That's kind of his motif. But you see that one piece of art in the back there? That is Blofeld's touch. Because remember, in Blofeld's lair in You Only Live Twice, he had that artwork on wheels because so he could at least just wheel in the art and have it there. He couldn't hang it on the wall. That's what he did here too. There's a piece of art and it's just on a stand over there. So I thought, oh, that is a throwback to how Blofeld displayed his art in You Only Live Twice in his lair there. Okay. And then when Bond goes to try to find Willard White, he's going to rescue him. This is in Willard White's house. See, concrete, glass, metal. There is a piece of art hanging over there, but I mean, it's just boring, drab. It's gray and black and white. It fits the motif of Willard White. And then Blofeld's lair. Okay, remember the pictures I told you to remember in on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The circles. There they are. That is them. I looked at them over and over again. That is them. We have repeated art. Finally saw it. And so, because one of them was red, one of them's kind of a bluish one. And those are the pieces from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. They were in Blofeld's lair that blew up on the mountain, but here they are again on the oil rig. This is the oil rig. Diamonds Are Forever. So repeated art. We found it. This picture I took very end of Diamonds Are Forever because I was like, well, kind of some modern looking pieces, but very generic looking, something you probably would see on a cruise ship. Nothing really special. Live and Let Die. Here is where I was like, oh my goodness, we are going to get to see the art in James Bond's his apartment or his house where he lives. So here's the big shocker. That's his bedroom back there. And those pictures hanging above his bed, I don't know. I was really shocked. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, Bond, he's supposed to be, passionate lover and a womanizer and everything. And he's got that above his bed, those pictures. And I couldn't tell what they are, but we'll see. And when you see what they are, it makes even less sense once you see what they are. Okay, so, but you can kind of see over a little bit to the left. There is above the mantle in the dark, there's a much better piece of art. So, okay, so when we go to the next picture, and there it is. So M is there, and you can still see the art in the bedroom. You can see the better piece of art, more of the Victorian, more richer feel to it, to have that kind of art in the scene. Now, this was a little bit that I was surprised to see. Back in the day, families would put up pieces of art by the front door, and it was pictures of family, little pictures, like usually. And that's kind of what this looks like. It looks like there's the frames with all the little holes cut out for little pictures. And I was like, I find it hard to think that Bond would do that he would have pictures of family up by the front door. I don't know. That struck me as very odd. Unless those aren't pictures, but it sure looked like it to me. Okay, so now look at this. See those pictures behind M in this scene right here? That's what's hanging up above Bond's bed. Pictures of, I don't know, what are they? Sea captains? Um, I don't know. It's really odd. They kind of look like the Musketeers, kind of like type pictures. Very English, I'm sure, but I it's very very odd. I don't know why he would have those in his bedroom above his bed. Pictures like that. All right. So there's no artwork here, but I did want to point out in this picture, doesn't that look like all the circles like in the Dr. No intro, and then the ones that they brought back for No Time to Die, those circles. Here his whole kitchen has those circles in there. That's what it reminded me of. All right, and in Live and Let Die, Mr. Big's office. Now, um, in Mr. Big's office, we will notice in the back there's like this Victorian style art, and it doesn't really seem to fit him. But then when we go to the front of his office with him, now you see his touch to the office, his artwork that he has added to this office. He doesn't spend much time in this office. It's more of a front, but he did kind of put his own touch on it. And then here we are in Jamaica. Bond goes to Jamaica, and there's this artwork in the hotel. It looks exactly like what I would have pictured artwork being like in a hotel back then in Jamaica. Here's another picture. Um, of course, look at that bedspread and the the headboard and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's kind of it's pretty tacky looking, um, but that's like hotel look to it, resort look for sure. But the artwork really matches it. We get a really good close look here. Here's a really good close look when Bond was looking for bugs in the room. I mean, look at that piece of art. Both of them. That what is that? Like a snapping turtle head or something? Just really weird. Um, Looks like it's made from driftwood though, so that's pretty cool. But that picture, the colors in it, the scene in it, um, yeah, I would expect a picture like that in Jamaica. That really captured the moment there. And then Bond confronting Mr. Big in his lair. Here he is, Mr. Big's lair. And what do we see in the background? Modern art. Weird modern art. So again, we see that proven true in the lair. You get modern art. Now, then we go on. After that, there really wasn't much more art in Live and Let Die after that. Um, let's see. Then we have the Man with the Golden Gun. This is Scaramanga's place. Now, I feel like in the back there, we see that desk. I feel like we saw that desk in Dr. No. It's hard to tell if it's the same one, but it sure looks like it. But I haven't checked enough to say, yeah, we got more repeat. But that would be repeat furniture, not art. All right, now when we look at this art, I was thinking, well, this is really strange art. Really cool polished turtle shells there. I hadn't noticed that before, but those are really cool. But just thinking about Scaramanga, he's like a hunter. He's an assassin. He's a killer. That I could see him finding art in carcasses. You know what I mean? Like little skulls and death. These things kind of represent death. Seem very fitting for artwork that he would have up there. And then when Bond goes into M's office, now at first when he walked in, I'm like, oh no, there's no ships. They've changed M and his likes. There's no ships in there because it's just now those four pictures that are over on the left side there. They used to be on the right in one of the other movies. But then as we get into further in the scene, it's like, oh nope. If you look over these gentlemen's shoulder, there's a ship. There's the ship. Um, and so, nope, M still very much loves his ships. They're part of the office. There's the ship. If you look at this next picture, there's the ship behind him on the mantle. They brought a ship back. It's over the mantle. So, so M's office is back to how it used to be. And then, oh, that's right. And then I took another picture here because it showed it way more clear. So there's M behind his desk, and he's got his painting of a ship behind him. Oh, now remember, Moneypenny usually has flowers around her. But remember, I said take note of that picture of the Queen that was in Bond's office in on Her Majesty's Secret Service. There it is. It's in Moneypenny's wall now. So that was interesting. It moved. It moved from Bond's office to Moneypenny's office. Again, we found some repeat art. Repeat art. Oh, but then here, then we look at this now. There's the Queen over there, but Moneypenny's flowers. Our flower of the office still has her flowers up on the wall. And then this is in the hotel uh, where Bond is going to surprise the woman, Scaramanga's woman, and that looks like a piece of hotel art, doesn't it? Like just a splash of color of something up on the wall. But here in this next picture, when Bond goes into the room, now this is Scaramanga's room, I believe, at the hotel, or at least his his girlfriend's, his woman, and um, I thought, wow, this is impressive. I mean, for some artwork in a hotel, this is pretty cool because those are big. Those are some big pictures and stuff. So I was surprised in a good way on this one. So rather than seeing something and just being like, wow, that's kind of just really blah. These were cool. Some cool art. Now, here is what really shocked me. Scaramanga, he's kind of a boring guy when it comes to art. He doesn't like a whole lot of color and stuff because above the bed, that's a painting right there over his headboard above his head, and it's just really plain looking. So I was surprised with that. I thought Scaramanga might have not even modern art. Back to M's office. This is um, this was the next movie. This is The Spy Who Loved Me. In this one, the boat is still the ship, still above the mantle there. And then, if you look at this, as M's walking back to his office, there's the ship in the middle. That ship in the middle remains there. I mean, it's been there, relentless through most of the movies, and it stays there through most of the movies. And then he reaches out to Moneypenny, says, "Hey, where's 007?" Picture of the Queen, um, a little bit of a different picture, but kind of the same feel. And then we get to the lair, and here's some of the times where I really remember the art in the lair. Was here in The Spy Who Loved Me. Here it is, just all this grand art. And of course, it adds to the size of the room, but it also adds to the feeling of, hey, this bad guy, money is no object to this guy. He's got all the money in the world, so he can basically do whatever he wants. So this definitely adds to that feel when it's art like this. And then here's another picture, just really encompassing the whole room to show the size. Now, in part one, remember what I said about big pictures, big pieces of art? Usually they're good for hiding something. Well, there we go. There we go. In this next scene right here, big piece of art. It's hiding a screen. And this was interesting because there weren't any like real big pieces of art, because here Bond is in Egypt, and this to me, I thought like this really seemed like authentic art, and the way a room would have been decorated there. So there was no like contradiction here. Like if they would have had a Victorian picture hanging up in here, that, and we're gonna run into that a little bit later too. But I would have thought, I don't know. Now they're just throwing art in there to make it look busy, but this was well done. This was a good set. Same here. It wasn't overdone with the art. The art that you would see on these walls probably pretty minimal, small. Nothing too big, because the art is outside. Your eyes are going out there. That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at the walls. Okay, and then we come back to the next movie, Moonraker, and we come back to M's office in Moonraker, and there's the ships. You see the one ship in the middle there, right there. That's the one that stays all the time. Now it did change over to the side though. There's no ships over there. It's the horse, and of course, that's when Bond raises his hand, and the dart comes flying out, and it shoots the horse right in the rump. Um, I think that's why that picture was switched out, just for that occasion. And then Moneypenny, there's Moneypenny. Oh, I just noticed that I accidentally caught a piece of art out in the hallway. So there's Moneypenny and her flowers. And before Bond closes the door, I just noticed that there's a piece of art right there of a ship. So, this whole building is nautical themed, except for Moneypenny, the flower of the office. And then this was interesting. So here, this mirror is going to be used for a screen. That Q is going to be showing James Bond some things, but behind Q are more ships. So there were definitely ships in the office. Um, they got moved to make way for the painting of the man on the horse, but the ships are still there. And here we go. Now, when you look at this picture, here we go. It's the Mr. Drax in the his lair here. I mean, you want to talk about art encompassing the entire room. It's in the ceilings and everything. But this isn't a big, huge estate. I mean, um, when we went to Versailles, every room was like this. The walls are just covered with every piece of art possible. The ceilings, everything. There's art everywhere. So to me, this is this. Now they were obviously filming this in an old estate that is set up now as a museum. Um, but the grand art, the big gold wooden frames and art on the ceiling, everything just adds to the weight of, this is a grand room, and this man's got all the money in the world. And then here's another picture from the opposite side. Huge, massive paintings um, in the on the walls. And then this lent to to that whole thing about how this obviously was filmed in a big estate, kind of a museum probably, because she's the helicopter pilot. She's the help basically for Mr. Drax, and this is one of the help's rooms. It's got a huge tapestry up on the wall for art, and um, I mean, who's going to decorate a room like this for the help? for the employees. Now, this is when Bond and M go in because Bond thought he had discovered that poisonous gas that was being put into the capsules that would be shot from space, and a couple men died in the lab. But if we take a look at this room, so this is the room without the lab, and I'm going in reverse here because you could see the art everywhere, very Victorian, very grand, and everything. Um, but now look at the pillars over there by the door. Those pillars, they could have made different sets. Just build one thing here and just say it was there. But this really impressed me because when we look at this next picture, again, just look at the pillars, look at the setting right there, above the door, the artwork, that, and then now here we are. This is the lab that was set up in the room that Mr. Drex uh, gets rid of the evidence. They could have built it somewhere else, but they didn't, because look towards the back of the lab. There is the pillars and the door and everything. So they really did like set up this lab in that massive room and then got rid of it to get rid of the evidence. That's impressive that they went through that effort in the movie to keep that continuity. Now, this is where the art starts to change in the Bond movies. And I kind of noticed this after this scene, because to me this scene right here was like the art that will be displayed is not going to be the same anymore. This to me said we are now in the digital age. Even the opener, the opening song, and the opening dancing or whatever of Moonraker had like digitized figures and stuff in it. And the Bond movies started to get more and more digital. And it started with Moonraker, where it started to do that. And the artwork that it would display would start to become more digital. It'd be less fancy, real art, and start getting more digital, more and then also just more into the architecture of things around, instead of trying to just throw artwork in there as statement pieces. Started to really just use the environment around the scenes. But art still exists in the movies. It just kind of to a lesser degree. Now, in Octopussy, the next movie, Octopussy, M wasn't there, but the minister, prime minister, minister was there, and we see a little bit of change. This is his office, and his office, it doesn't have ships and things like that. His is very Victorian, very just kind of like straight laced. What would normally have been in the building, I think. But Moneypenny, flower of the office, she's got her flowers still. And this was sweet. This was a very nice moment because she's got her flowers. She's the flower of the office, and Bond gives her a flower. I never realized how like I've said over and over, how she really was. She was Moneypenny was the flower of the office, and it was emphasized by her artwork in always having a flower around. So then we get into M's office. M's not there, but this is his office. And there's ships. There's some ships in the background over there. So those are back, even above the mantle. M's not there, but his ships. There's the ship over the mantle. It's there. Oh, did I say Octopussy? I meant For Your Eyes Only. That was For Your Eyes Only. Because here in Cortina and uh, at the ski resort, and I took a picture of this because um, the little circles, the Doctor No circles, and then we saw in Bond's kitchen. It's like, are those like the little circles on the chair, on the cushions? Kind of made me think of that. All right, now this was weird. This artwork is so plain, so uninspired, um, and it was on this guy's boat. And now Bond is gonna join forces here, but the artwork on his boat was just so, I don't know. I was just like, just doesn't seem to really make much sense. It just really was just throwaway art on this one. So there it is on that wall. He's got the map. I mean, the map makes sense on because they're on his boat, but then in the sea, I mean, what is that in the background? That is like the most drab, uninspired piece of art. So I was really taken back by that. Just wondering, wow, why they couldn't have found some better art to hang on this guy's yacht. Now we get to Octopussy. Sorry, Octopussy, and um, we're at the British consulate here, and of course, it's going to look very regal. That's the kind of art that it's going to have hanging on the wall. Back to Moneypenny's office, and there's the Queen and her flowers. But Moneypenny and her flowers, but then her new assistant. And when Bond first came in, Moneypenny's new assistant was actually hanging her own art on the wall. She has a different style of art on her side of the office. In fact, she has a computer. Moneypenny's desk didn't have a computer. So we're like two different styles. One was, of course, younger generation, newer things, and Bond took notice, of course. And then we're back to M's office. There's the ship above the mantle. There's little ships on each side as well. So kind of he added a couple more ships over onto that side of the wall. And I mean, you talk about a ship motif at this point. There's a bunch of ships in the one painting over there on the right on this picture, and a model of a ship, and then like a whole fleet of ships in the picture in the middle. So that really hit the ship theme in this one. And then of course when they go to the auction, here's the auction house, and I took some pictures of this because and you'll see here in the next one. I mean, look at all the artwork. Look at all those paintings here for the auction house. Of course, there's going to be um, a ton of paintings in an auction house, and look at all the price tags on them. So I was like, oh, this was a great use of art in the movie. Just a whole room full of it. And then when Bond goes to India, of course, all the design and the artwork is going to be really geared towards that. So some really nice scenes in Octopussy, and then here again, very the theme is he's in India. That's what a lot of the art is going to be themed after. This is in the lair, but this was interesting too. So this is the den. This is the office of the villain for Octopussy, and he's got these like bronze pressed figures up on the wall. That was interesting. And then the sword up on the wall too. He really, and the tiger's head. He does pride himself on hunting and that, but it was really some interesting art in here. And then this I thought was funny. This was hilarious. Of all the pictures that he can put behind him. He's got a picture of himself. Now, I thought that was hilarious. I was like, here, he's got all this interesting art and everything. And the one picture he's got right there is a picture of himself. Pretty vain. Okay. So then we go to A View to a Kill. Because once again, the art actually started to die down a lot in there, and they started concentrating more on the environment, the structure, the structural art of what was around Bond, and that. So here we go with Moneypenny, View to a Kill. The Queen, she's got the Queen on the wall, flowers, and then flowers on the other wall, and then this picture here, this next one, Moneypenny and all her flowers, and her plants. And sadly, this would be the last one with our Moneypenny, with our flower of the office. And then we go to M's office and the ships galore. There's nothing but ships in there. So that theme carried throughout, that same picture, the same ship, it's above the mantle. I'm sure it's going to change when we probably get out of Roger Moore era, because that's when a lot of things started to change. I'm interested to look and see what the artwork is going to be after this. And then when he gets to Zoran's palace, or Zoran's, mansion, whatever. And again, this is obviously in some kind of a huge estate / museum somewhere, because of the artwork that is everywhere. And then down the hallway here, all this very Victorian art, um, making it look, grand, rich. Money's no issue with this, for this villain as well. And then the room that that Bond is going to be in, very Victorian, everything again. Now I actually noticed there, and it doesn't look like there's any pictures in it, so that might be what Bond had. If you look behind him there under the clock, it doesn't look. That's not like family photos. That's not the little thing with family photos. That's just it's some kind of a piece of art. So that's kind of what Bond had in his apartment. A few of those by his front door. I wonder if anybody in the comments could actually let me know what kind of art that is. Is that like a British kind of art, real English kind of a piece of art, from back in the time, or something that I'm not familiar with. All right. Oh, and then Stacy, when Bond goes to find Stacy, I thought this was really interesting. So her house was pretty barren, remember? There wasn't much going on in her house. There's a picture of her dad, I think, downstairs, and that was like it. But then when he came upstairs, this is where she spent all her time, was upstairs and in her room, because it was a huge house. She didn't need that big a house. She just needed her own little space, and she spent all her time up here in the room, probably. So it was all decked out, and it's very feminine, the room. And she's got a picture of a cat, birds. She's got a bird in a cage. So she likes birds, obviously. So she's a pet person. She's an animal lover. Very girly. See, very very feminine type of a room. So it was interesting. So this room it's really made up, whereas the rest of the house was pretty empty. And again, that's it. That was kind of the art, as far as what was in A View to a Kill, and that was it. That's the art that gets us up through Roger Moore, and there might be a part 3 and 4. I'll have to see how far these go, how much art is used, because we have Dalton and then Brosnan, those eras to get through, and then we'll get to Daniel Craig. I'm guessing, because I don't remember artwork being as big a part of the movies once we got out of our first few Bonds. Uh, and it became much more digital and action oriented. More things were going on outside instead of in the buildings. So this might have been a little insight as to how they maybe even made us feel like we were traveling. We were in other places by having different bits of artwork to just make it look more authentic to those places. And they didn't have to do that as much as the newer movies were coming out, because they actually just would just go there and they would just film with how things were decorated at the time. They didn't have to like build sets and decorate them to look like we were somewhere else. Anyway, it's been fun looking at this artwork. I hope you're enjoying this. Um, and I hope you're finding it relaxing at the same time. So I guess we will see you in the next one. And you take care. See you later. Bye.